occupational therapist, and I'm going to share some tips and tricks to help your kid with feeding skills. So some developmental timelines. Your kiddo should be finger feeding by 12 to 14 months, using a spoon to feed by 3 years, a fork by 4, spreading and cutting with a butter knife by 6, and then using a steak knife around 9. And that varies by kid, and then culturally, like depending what you eat and what utensils are needed for it, that may change as well. But generally, that's kind of what you see. So the first thing to assess if your kid is having trouble with feeding themselves is their seating. So what you want to see is that their feet are on the ground, their knees make a 90-degree angle with the floor, their hips make a 90-degree angle, and then their elbows are, the table's at a comfortable position, not so high that they've got to like reach up to try to scoop or pierce the food. They want to be high enough that their elbows are relaxed, like this girl's here. You can use a booster seat or a stool or something for their feet, whatever you have around, just to get them in this nice position here. A lot of kids have issues with feeding themselves because their upper bodies are weak. So that could be a really good first place to start when you're trying to help your kids improve their feeding skills. To improve upper body strength and stability, you can do activities such as wheelbarrow walks, animal walks, taking them to the jungle gym, making sure they're getting lots of opportunities for safe climbing and pushing, pulling. And you can also have them do anything, if they're on their tablet or watching TV or doing a puzzle, don't have them sit slouched over, have them lay on the floor up on their elbows so that they're building some more of that stability, endurance in their shoulders. That'll help them have a good base of support for when they're trying to use a spoon or a fork in a controlled manner. Some other fun activities you can do to help increase that upper body strength and endurance. Have them tape whatever they're coloring onto the underside of the table and have them lay on the floor to color it. That way they've got to kind of be up here. And that'll tire them out real fast, but it's fun and interesting. You can kind of make it like a coloring cave, turn the lights off, that sort of thing. Also, if your kid's able to do it, push-ups and you can even have them like push up against the wall if the floor's too hard, or playing catch with a heavier ball or a medicine ball. All of these activities can be really helpful to build upper body endurance and stability that they're going to need for feeding themselves. Your kid is now in the proper seating. They're building their upper body endurance, so now it's time to build some coordination. It's best to try to work on coordination with a spoon and fork when we're not trying to feed first. That way there's not that stress of, especially if they're hungry and they're getting frustrated because they're trying to feed themselves but it's going everywhere. So what I recommend doing is incorporating a spoon and a fork and utensils more into play so that it's more of a fun activity than they're not trying to actually feed themselves. So a bin of rice or beans, any sensory bin you have, where they can scoop the rice into a container. If that's too easy, you can make it harder. Put the container up here so they've got a controlled scoop it all the way up. You can hold it for them, see how many they can get before they spill rice everywhere, like I just did. And then once that's easy, you can have them dig and try to find little objects, marbles. I have pom-poms, and scoop the pom-poms out and transfer them. You can have them put several different dishes around them, so they've got to transfer one over here, and then maybe one over here, and maybe one over here. You can also have them do a relay race, so put a bin of marbles or pom-poms or just anything that would fit well in a spoon, and have them transfer them from one side of the room to the other side. If that's hard and you're noticing that they're dropping it everywhere, give them like a soup ladle or a really big spoon, and then have them do the obstacle course, transferring the objects back and forth across the room. That'll make them really focus on having their arms stable and their wrists stable, and they're controlling the spoon. And that can, just developing those foundational skills can help them with feeding. Also, you want to kind of look at how your kid's holding a spoon. If they're holding it way up here or with their whole hand, you want to kind of encourage them to hold it with their fingers and kind of closer down to the base of the spoon while they're learning. That way they have some more control. Typically, you'll see kids, as they start to develop those spoon skills, hold it like this, and that's fine. As they get better at it and they get a little older, a little more natural with it, they'll kind of hold it more like a pen, and they could scoop that way. But as they're learning, this is fine. As they get better at it, this is fine. You just don't want to see this or like that. Okay, so next, some things you can do to help your kid practice with the fork. Again, make sure they're not holding it like this. You'll see a lot of kids try to stab it, and then it's really hard for them to bring it to their face. Make sure that they're using more of this side of their hand to hold the fork, whether that be like this to start off is fine, or like a pen, that's fine too. But you can get some Play-Doh out. All kids love Play-Doh. Most kids love Play-Doh. And have them, they can just even poke it, make holes. That just challenges their ability to hang on to the fork in a controlled manner without dropping it, pushing straight down. After they get good at that, you can get some big pieces and have them poke and move their big pieces somewhere. And then as they get really good at that, you can make really little pieces, and then that's a lot more challenging where they've got to get their nice little pieces moved over. You can even have your kids, once they get a little more confident with their fork and spoon skills and they're a little more excited to play with them and they're using them a little better, have them incorporate their fork and spoon into like snacks or meals where they may not normally use them. Maybe they normally finger feed. So maybe we're picking up our gummy bears with our fork, or we're transferring our clementine slices with the spoon. Just kind of add as many opportunities for practice as you can. Some other activities you can do to help your kid with their utensil skills. Velcro food, easy to find. Having them practice cutting that. That's fun. Seems to be a favorite toy of a lot of kiddos that we see here. And then to work on their ability to develop a controlled grasp and work on their upper body stability. Salad tongs, just like what you have at home, are a great tool. They can practice squeezing the tongs while they have a controlled upper body to transfer them. Even if they're picking up small toys on the floor, you can make cleanup a little more fun and have them pick them up with their tongs. And finally, another great training that I like to use with my kiddos in therapy, have them practice feeding themselves in front of a mirror, or if you don't have a mirror, just turn the iPad in selfie mode so they can actually see themselves. A lot of kids that aren't really aware of where their mouth is in space or how to get their hand to their mouth in a controlled manner are going to have a lot easier time with that when they actually get that visual feedback of like where their mouth is in relation to their fork or their spoon. Make sure, too, when your kiddo is feeding themselves, that their arm isn't down here like this, because like your kiddos with weaker upper bodies might be kind of down here trying to eat this way. If you have to, sit next to them and kind of just prompt them to hold their arm up a little bit while they're learning to control the spoon. Even if it looks a little exaggerated, that way they have a little bit more control of their arm and their wrist with their upper body supported and in a good position. Also, another thing I see, especially with my kids whose posture isn't quite as upright, again, make sure they're sitting with their hips at a 90-degree angle and their knees at a 90-degree angle with their feet on the floor so that their core is stable and they have good availability and use of their upper body. But if your kid tends to be bringing their mouth to the spoon versus bringing the spoon to their mouth, help them with that as well. Have them try to sit with their, sit straight up, make sure they're in a chair or in a position where that's comfortable for them. Make sure they're not too high up or too low at the table so that they can bring the spoon to their mouth versus the other way around. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I hope that these tips and tricks help. Again, I'm Megan and I'm an occupational therapist, and I hope you catch us next time.